Morning, everyone. It's lovely to see so many people from all over the place today, it seems. Today we will be covering, we've got a few more people joining as well. So today we will be talking all about providing, prioritising your discovery and access in 2022. And this is following on from Henry Stewart's events last week, which I believe some of you may have been attending. So there was the Dammer Museums and the Heritage Collections Management event. And this is, as I say, all about understanding why you should be prioritising your discovery and access coming into 2022. So my name is Marshall Parr and I head up the marketing team here at Townsville Archiving. And I'm also joined by Casper Smithson, who is the Chief Operating Officer here.
Morning.
Let me just run through some quick housekeeping notes and then we'll cover what we'll be running through today. Today's webinar will be recorded. We will send a recording and a little roundup around to everyone at the end of the event. So please feel free to share it with your colleagues and anyone else that you feel it would be of interest to. Cameras on or off, it's entirely up to you. I believe everyone's been muted by default here. I'm just letting a few more people into the webinar. And if you have any questions, please do drop those in the live chat throughout. Casper will be running through the body of the webinar today and he'll be happy to stop and answer any questions as we go. So what's being covered today? Today we'll be starting with the benefits of unrestricted access. This is becoming more and more prevalent over the last couple of years, and it's something that we've seen a real industry shift towards an expectation from audiences and having unrestricted access, and there is boundless benefits that have come with the access online for digital collections. We'll also be covering the beauty that is innovation. There is some weird and wonderful ways for publishing your collections online, and as it has become an audience expectation to have as close to the physical experience with the digital collections now. And we'll also be covering some of the opportunities for monetizing your collections, the benefits from that not just being the additional income source, but the saves in your own resources in terms of people and physical spaces as well. So I'm going to hand over to Casper now, and he's going to start with the benefits of unrestricted access.
Fantastic. Thanks, Marshall, and nice to see everybody joining in today, and thanks for joining us morning or evening, wherever you're calling in from. So I wanted to start off, as Marshall said, this is following on from the Henry Stewart event last week for those that could attend and listen to so many industry experts talking about the heritage sector and obviously collections management, digital asset management, and a whole wide range of different options that are available to you and your organizations to be able to then publish your collections and make those accessible online. We've been doing a little bit of research here at Townsweb Archiving on some of the sort of changing landscape during the pandemic in the last sort of 18 to 24 months. And in particular to this, the increasing demand on users, your users, for access to your collections during those particular times. You can see from this particular graph that we've dropped out from some of the Google Analytics of a particular saying digital museum experiences, whereby there's this huge shift that users are searching for and looking for this demand to be able to access collections online in an environment that they can obviously engage and work with, to be able to either carry out research as organisations were closed during this particular period, or potentially to be able to access places where they may never have ever got the opportunity to be able to visit, see, or educate themselves into that particular collection due to travel restrictions or distance, or for a whole number of reasons where that's now become a lot more accessible as things become online available from there. One of the things that we've always identified here at Townsweb is the vast growing number of systems that are available to yourselves as organisation sort of custodians of collections, and being able to look at those different collections for the likes of what they serve a purpose for, there's huge amounts of acronyms and abbreviations to these collections. There's collection management systems, digital asset management systems, catalog systems, digital preservation systems. It all becomes a little overwhelming at times in terms of what systems are out there and what those systems potentially do to be able to work alongside your particular assets that you hold. We want to take a little look at a particular area of this, the digital asset management side of it. The ability that you have to be able to get a centralized source of true digital assets and be able to easily manage them in a user-friendly way, whilst also being able to have this system being able to build for scale so that you can access all of your assets in a single place and be able to access those seamlessly in a user-friendly and scalable way as your organization grows. Digital asset management systems can manage all sorts of assets. They can manage TIFFs, JPEGs, PDFs, to Word documents, and further extents to different audio-visual files and other content as well. The purpose of a digital asset management is to make it easy for users to find and access, find any asset that they're looking for. There's a huge wide range of digital asset managements, and there's also areas in which they have the ability to be able to publish collections and be able to create discovery and access from those digital asset management collections. What we want to take a look at today is where a digital asset management sits in terms of the landscape of collections management, but also in the position that also digital access and discovery has to offer to your users. If we go next slide here. So in terms of the digital asset management, there are three categoric stages that we identify when it comes to discovery and access that needs to happen in the asset management. There's a huge number of additional stages in a digital asset management system, such as workflows and automation. But in terms of the discovery and access module, we've identified these three core categories: the data ingest, the collection management, and the discovery. In the data ingest phase, we're looking at APIs, connections to other systems, other data sources where that particular data might be coming from. For example, a cataloging system, a digital asset management system, other areas, or even breaking it down to the likes of Excel spreadsheets, or maybe even an access database. Those data sources and that metadata forms the absolute fundamentals of any access and discovery project, and being able to put that content alongside imagery and the assets will be able to enhance all of the collection management that we then go and look at. So the organization of data structured by the metadata, the likes of the collection trees and being able to organize your data in particular pathways and looking at that from a user perspective and a user journey, understanding how your users want to engage with that content and be able to publish that online through engaging channels that they can then work through. In our particular system, the PastView system that we'll come on to a little bit more detail, you have other things called entities, tags, and obviously OCR, which means optical character recognition. Entities are a way that you can create relationship databases between different items. So being able to connect and link further assets together to be able to showcase stories and innovation that we'll come on to shortly. The main area that we get most excited about is the discovery. And this is the area where you can make all of those things connect together, take the metadata, take the assets, and create that collection and those organizations, and be able to represent this in a visual, engaging way that will work for audiences, whether that's internal stakeholders of a company or whether it's public that you want to be able to engage with, and create a whole diverse, accessible and engaging platform, website front that becomes the portal of where you're putting your collections through. Bespoke websites, snapshots, exhibitions, virtual tours, monetization, just to name a few. And we'll come on to a little bit of those in terms of some of the applications that can be used whilst looking at this discovery and access from here. So all of this together with the different systems Everything that we're looking to do here with the PastView platform, the platform that we manage, an online hosted discovery and access platform, is to drive innovation. We always look at things from a point of view that we are trying to make the physical look as close to the physical in an online environment. By doing this, we work with a number of different organizations and different features and viewers on the system to be able to look at different access modules that can be used throughout an innovative and engaging way for your audiences. There's the real feel for the page turning, where we've got the likes of the ability to be able to page through bound volumes, manuscripts, magazines, and also with the ability to look at deep zoom onto things like maps, photographs, and really be able to see that detail that's taking place on that particular item. It's important to say here that this is a front-end user platform. This is focusing on your user experience and focusing on that innovation to bring that physical item to the forefront, that the real life version of it can be experienced in an online digital way for your audiences to be able to engage with that particular collection. There's other viewers that are available that include audio visual content as well as object viewing. If you hold collections of objects and you've captured or scanned these particular objects in rotational photography, then you can put these and render them into the digital archive of PastView and be able to spin those around, allow your users to be able to rotate them, zoom in and engage with all of that detail and context that's within your particular objects. You've also got the ability to have some audio visual content into the system and be able to offer video players, audio players, but not only that, as most systems do offer, there is also the ability to go that step further and offer things like automatic audio transcription to be able to make sure that oral histories are fully keyword searchable, locating those words and hitting the play button from that particular point. And also the ability to be able to tag certain video content so that your users can locate, find, and be able to immediately tune into that particular part of the video that they were necessarily after. Further innovations and the massive power where PastView comes in to this innovation of digital access and discovery is the related content. It's a huge one. If we go onto e-commerce sites and what we're all familiar with now, you always hit the bottom of the page and you see this related content other shoppers might like, or this or other information that links to that particular item. Why aren't we doing this within archives, or why is there not that functionality or ability to be able to do that? And is that something that people are wanting to look for? I think it most certainly is. And that innovation that organizations are using to be able to relate their content is so incredibly powerful in that way. In these two particular cases, we've used the Royal Dragoon Guards photographed in one of these images. And in that particular case, they've related connections to a particular famous soldier, an individual that was within the archive. They've also included what regiment they served in, what battle honours they were a part of, what conflicts they served within, and what other relations they had, who their other serving officers were, who they were close with in those particular conflicts, and also where other references within the archive have they been mentioned. And all of this sits within a related section to be able to give that end user the ability to be able to not only engage with that particular piece of content that they thought they were after, but also the ability to be able to storytell and move through your archives in that way that really resonates and provides that story throughout the collections as well. There's further related content that we move on to here in terms of another military organization. It seems that the military organization seems to be able to draw a lot from their particular, sorry, Marshall, just next slide. Draw a lot from their particular archives. And again, in terms of these related contents, you've got a membership database where there's 56,000 names in this Burma Star Memorial Fund. And from that, they're starting to connect together. Again, similar connections. Who did they serve with? Under what ranks were those particular individuals? How can we find out more photographs or see other conflicts that they were a part of? And it starts showing that whole story by the connections of that information. If we take a look at some of the other functions, and those that did attend the Henry Stewart event, they might have also gone into and seen the HSBC webinar with James Mortlock, who was project manager for the HSBC website that we've recently launched. A particular area that they focused on, and just to draw some innovation from their particular project, is the fact that they've used an area called recent additions and also a snapshot area. They've pulled some of their highly rated content from their archives. They've put that into an exhibition, put that into a certain area where audiences can engage with that collection, and also in a curated way that their archive team and their team can be able to showcase that story and provide individual snapshots of history in the HSBC brand that they want to be able to showcase and put across. Another example with the National Jazz Archive is one where they're using an interactive timeline where users on touchscreens can pan across the timeline, zoom into different areas and see these different intercepts of time within their archive, and be able to view different contexts of journals, magazines, photographs, and that particular different snapshot of their archive for a user to be able to see not only their collections in sort of structured organizational ways of certain formats, but also to be able to see that collection in, let's say, decades, and be able to offer that to see all of the interesting information that took place in the 1900s, for example, within a timeline function that was really engaging and being able to really draw on the user's view. If we just move on there. One of the key areas that we really promote and push with a lot of our clients and organizations is the key of storytelling. Every archive has a story to tell, and we're constantly finding huge amounts of information and learning so much from all the projects that we work on. And it's absolutely fascinating in terms of the clients that we work with, the stories that they have and the personal stories as well that come out of these projects that we work on. One in particular is the HSBC work that they've been doing with a bank at war. It showcases the whole staffing personnel in terms of the impact that the war had on their staff, and it showcases a huge impact to the particular archive and all the information that they had at that particular time. The benefit of this and being able to showcase it in an engaging online way and being able to deliver that to the audiences that you're looking to engage with is to be able to showcase them another avenue that they can get into your collections. It's not so much a matter of just being able to put all of your collections online and being able to just make those accessible to the audiences and allow them to be able to understand and make the connections and realize the stories that are being told. They're looking for a lot more. They're looking for this storytelling ability where you can actually engage with individuals or particular moments in the history of, for this example, a brand's corporate heritage. But in other organizations, it might potentially be a local archive, it might be a local town, it might be a particular period in time that you can obviously create engaging methods that audiences can review your archives and really get some detail from curated exhibitions that you'd be able to provide to them. Again, another sort of expectation in the shift that audiences are looking for when it comes to that storytelling. We move on to the next one, and this might look quite complex in terms of what we're trying to describe in this particular case. I've just noticed also that we have a page title here. This is the page title here. Presentation.
Sorry about that.
No problem. So what we're trying to identify here is showing the ability, and I'm not going to go into huge amounts of detail here. Those that are familiar with the PastView platform potentially might have seen this diagram before. Those that have not seen the PastView platform, I want to just run through this particular to be able to show a little bit of the terminology and also the capabilities of how we deal with those related content, the storytelling, the different object views, and how we make those digital assets and the metadata work for your organization to be able to harness that and present it to your audiences. We have different terminology and different elements of the system. These include collections and sub-collections, tags, items, entities, attribute sets, and attributes. That's a small subset of what you have within PastView. The importance of this diagram is to showcase how those individual assets and elements of the PastView platform work together to be able to deliver those particular innovations and related content. So for example, here we have a B squadron photograph, which is an item. Linked to that, we have a tag that represents the VE day. We also have that item within an attribute set, which is a core metadata set that relates to a photograph, which has information of the date taken, the copyright holder, a title, and a description. You can see here that that photograph is placed within a World War II sub-collection. You can see also it's placed within a 1940s sub-collection. It gives two avenues that a user can access that particular item. There could also be another collection that showcases it within a photograph collection, and it provides one item into multiple collections to be able to derive at that particular item, depending on the audience or the user that you're trying to reach or access through to. There's also an associated entity. In this particular case, the entity is a person, it's Charles Oakes. And that person has, again, an attribute set, a core set of metadata that relates to that particular person. In this case, it's their rank, it's their forename, Charles, and their surname, Oakes. And again, we have an entity that links to another entity, which is Samuel Oakes, potentially a brother or a father of Charles Oakes. You can see from this diagram very quickly and without getting too technical or in depth, the ability of the PastView platform in its methods to be able to draw on that related content that we discussed earlier in the innovations, draw on the storytelling, and be able to connect all of this information together. We have one photograph that one of your users has found, and from that one photograph, they can visit all of the World War II photos, see everything that took place in 1940s, see everything that relates to Charles Oakes, and not only that, see the connection to Samuel Oakes as well, all from one particular photo that they've viewed on there. Where does this take us, though, in terms of being able to get your collections online, being able to monetize from your collections, and being able to sustain and support your collections going forward? Well, a lot of the shift in terms of taking collections online and creating this discovery and access really builds a lot of time-consuming work to be done, either by a supplier, ourselves, or by the majority of time, the collection holder, the person that understands the context of the information, the person that has that knowledge and has those connections and being able to create and make those particular connections. That can either be yourselves, archivists and librarians and people working amongst the collections, or it could be crowdsourced and worked with the public and gone through that method. But the only way that these collections become available online is from the hard work of yourselves and the individuals that work to get those collections online, put them into an online environment, and then be able to make them accessible and user-friendly to be able to engage, relate, and storytell from there. All of that costs resource, time, money, effort, energy within that. And obviously monetizing from the collection is going to be able to create this sustainability to be able to not only grow the collections going forwards, but to be able to increase incomes and be able to actually generate that income from the particular collections to be able to sustain that going forward. An example of this could be photographic prints, digital downloads. The example here is Herefordshire history. It's quite a known method for monetization, and a lot of our users and other organizations are using this method to be able to generate income from their archives. They can offer a digital download, print fulfillment, or even go a step further to look at potentially the licensing of images, or even things like canvases, or putting them onto tea towels, mugs, other items as well from those particular digital downloads. The ability to add those to shopping carts, engage with your users, and be able to purchase individual digital downloads from there. Another monetization method that is really leaning towards a lot of the magazines, journals, archive collections in that basis is the ability to be able to offer subscriptions. There's a massive growing demand for users and individuals to be able to access content in a way that they can actually access not only a particular item, so say photograph, they're looking at accessing a full journal or even a full register, let's say, where they want to be able to access that register to be able to look at or research across that particular date period or information that falls within that article or edition of a magazine. Subscription-based monetization is becoming a huge increase for organizations and being able to monetize on their collections. And the ability that this provides is it provides a user the ability to be able to carry out a search, see some of the results, and then obviously hit a subscription paywall that would then ask them to subscribe for a period of time, or potentially for a certain type of collection as well. So do they want to subscribe to this particular edition of a magazine, or do they want to subscribe to the whole magazine collection? And obviously each of those can be charged for a different payment fulfillment from there. So it's a really engaging way that works very well with text-based documents such as magazines, journals, publications, where you can actually provide access to this collection to be able to search and locate certain information, but then to be able to actually read that content and go into a little bit more, there is that option to then be able to subscribe. Again, if we take a look at an alternative option to the subscription, there is an alternative option to actually be able to offer offline copies. In this particular case, an offline copy means a physical volume that is available in the digital version. Let's say an ebook or an EPUB file, where you can actually allow a user to be able to purchase this volume indefinitely for a set cost, in this case $39.99, in a digital format where they can view it online, they can read it, and they can even search it, the searching part being the key element that stands above having a physical volume. They can keyword search directly onto this digital item, and they can find particular traces, search keywords directly into that volume, and they own the volume through the particular website so that they can access this again and again and search that particular content. It takes place on the website, so they have to review and come back to the website to access it. But at the same time, they're able to use that volume again and again and have full access to that particular collection. Another version is a shop function. And we've put the shop function into PastView recently. And the reason being so is driving this e-commerce area, but also because of the relations between archive content and a shop. For example, this volume here of the, I think it's the 4th, 7th Royal Dragoon Guards, that particular volume is also digitized and on their archive to be able to read in a digital version. They've made that digital version freely accessible, and they've linked back from that digital version to the physical copy in the shop to be able to showcase that particular item, but also to be able to drive the shop purchasing to be able to showcase and put that physical item available in the shop, so that only certain pages are made available, the first chapter, let's say, digitally, and then from there they're driving people to purchase the physical item from that particular case. There is a lot of cases where the shop can be really utilized very well in an innovative way, from virtual tours to be able to showcase your particular archive or museum in a virtual tour where users can move around, click on particular objects, and then also be able to see those objects and again be linked to the shop function to be able to purchase that. So another monetizing approach where it's really important to be able to have all of your context and content within a singular place, not only your digital assets and metadata, but also your shop items and also your potential for all your other assets and information that you want to be able to collect from that particular website. If we take a quick look here, we're going to need to just pause on the screen share and switch over. If we take a very quick look here on the PastView platform, some of you may or some may not have seen this, but I just really wanted to showcase the back end of this PastView dashboard here, just to show the user friendliness in terms of the actual management side of it, the ability to be able to build and manage the collections that we've discussed in terms of being able to create sub collections, and not only that, being able to place particular items, in this case pages, and also associated metadata, that in this case we have a test transcript, against those particular items. All of this process is to drive the search and be able to drive that particular area around the search in terms of the attributes and the attribute sets of the metadata from there. There's also the items and entities, so the ability to be able to drag and drop multiple books, volumes, pages, photographs directly into the system with a drag and drop facility that uploads up to 50,000 items in one go, and being able to workflow your images into the collections. And also the ability to be able to edit the metadata and manage that information on particular types of attributes, in this case drop downs, or the ability to search by particular years and so on from there, to be able to get that information into the system, either in mass or one image by image from there. The relations that come from this are the likes of the additional collections to where they're linked to, and the ability to link entities, so other people or references, as well as the tags that link directly to those pages. Again, all to be able to showcase that related content and to be able to engage with audiences and users from there.
You saying that again, Casper?
Yes, yeah, perfect.
Brilliant.
Next slide. So before I open up to questions, I can't see the chat actually, but maybe there's some questions in there as well. Before I open up to any questions as well, I wanted to just run through a couple of the key takeaways here. So what is it that we're actually trying to address and answer here? So we've noticed from our users the change in audience expectations. There's a huge demand on what they expect. They expect the ability to be able to search across archives and be able to access content. And they're also looking for a particular engaging way to be able to be able to access that content and look at it in innovative ways that the potential discovery and access platforms such as PastView have to offer. There's also this conflicting technical priority in terms of your side of things, in terms of the different systems that are available, in terms of where systems sit within the whole cultural heritage experience and technical aspect, and at what point does discovery and access become the fundamental, or when does it become something that works not over other systems but in hand and harmonizes with other systems, such as working with your cataloging systems and being able to move catalog data into an access and discovery platform to be able to enhance that discovery and be able to put additional metadata around the particular image or item or artifact or video that's now on that discovery and access platform. We're also looking at the harness of your assets. It's so valuable to have your assets out there. It's so valuable to have them protected, but also to be able to engage with your audiences. So you can put those collections out there and be able to draw interest, draw information into your particular collections, and also to be able to engage with people, to be able to bring them into your archives and educate and build on their experience of your particular collections. TownsWeb are also digitisation specialists. We specialise in the digitisation of all cultural heritage materials. And a large part of this that we find with a lot of the projects that we work on is the digitisation with long-term objectives. There's the digitisation process that we get involved in very early on when organisations are looking to take physical items, books, manuscripts, maps, plans, and turn them into digital files through the conversion of digitisation. When we're working on those projects, there is also this long-term objectives, and where discovery and access fits into that is becoming a lot more moved to the forefront and moved to that front part. When you're looking at the first capture of a digitisation process, people are also considering, what are we going to do with these images? How are we going to make them accessible? Does it change the parameters of how we digitize? Are we doing this for access? Are we doing it for preservation? It becomes moved for the digitization process, which is often one of the early stages, or potentially even the cataloging if we went a step further back, and where that particular discovery and access sits within the whole sort of process of managing collections and managing archives from there. The monetization which offers the autonomy and mitigates against adverse physical restrictions. So the monetization is going to continue to grow and allow the support of the archive online. It's going to allow the ability for the scale and growth of that particular archive. And it's also from the support of your users by their payments and monetization elements, be able to actually provide them an improved service, more work on the actual collections and creating relations, or potentially additional information getting added to the system from there. It creates that sustainability and ability to be able to grow from that particular point forward. It also mitigates against the physical restrictions, the lockdowns, the ability to access those collections, and the ability for travel as well. There's some amazing museums, amazing collections across the globe, and the ability to be able to put things online, whether it's a redacted or restricted version of particular items, is only going to educate and increase demand and increase the interest into those particular collections. And it has that huge impact when we make things available online and create that discovery and access in an innovative way, that it's going to be able to create that engagement with your users. So hopefully from that, it's given you a few considerations in terms of working with different systems, what their purposes are, and the importance of discovery and access for the coming years from there. If you want to take a little bit of a further look at the PastView system, we have an area called the PastView Playground. It's free to register. There's the URL here. I'm sure Marshall and the team will be sending out a quick link to all the attendees afterwards with it. You're able to jump into this PastView Playground, use it to be able to upload your digital collections and actually publish these to a templated website where you can get a bit of a feel for the management side of the platform, and also the ability to use the front-end website as well from there. It's a templated website that you can obviously push on to some of your content and be able to use that to have a little look and feel to see how your content might look through some of these different innovative publishing features that we've discussed today. So thank you very much, everyone, for your time and joining us. And it's been a pleasure discussing this with you. Hopefully it's been quite thought-provoking and discussions around this. It is something that we always face and try to challenge and look at the industry in terms of how things are being done. We welcome feedback. We want to work very closely with you all in terms of being able to publish your collections online. I know that there are a few people on here that we are also working with in terms of harnessing their data online, and it's great to see them here as well. And if there are any particular questions that have come up through that, feel free to unmute yourself and ask away, or if there's any questions in the chat, which I don't believe there are, then we can go through there. But if anybody's got any questions, if they just want to unmute themselves and pitch in, we've got about 5 minutes left to the session. And no problem at all if there aren't. Were there any in the chat, Marshall? I couldn't see. So.
No, there's no questions in the chat at the moment, I don't think. I think you've answered lots of questions there, Casper.
Lots covered. Lots and lots covered. There's
sorry. I'm Caroline Rose. I'm the collections curator for Hull Museums in Yorkshire. I just wanted to ask a little bit more about the tags and how exactly, because obviously museums need to know how to what sort of information to put in those tags in order for it all to link together. So could you just cover a little bit more about that? You know, is it how specific it needs to be?
Yeah, of course. So there's two ways that you can tag items within PastView. There is the tags, which is being used, and there's also the other version, which is the entities. The tags are very loose in terms of what you can tag in terms of those. Let's say if you're looking at a collection of photographs and you've got a collection of trawlers or boats, you might want to tag those with different sort of contexts of those particular items, and those tags are going to be able to, if somebody's searching for a trawler, that's going to be able to improve the search and move those results to the top from there. There's also the further step of the tags, which is the entities. And although I've showcased that in a particular case where it's people, you can potentially use entities for a wide range of different methods. That could potentially be a location. So that location might have a geographical location. It might be a town. It might be a place. You could potentially use it for, again, taking the boats one. You might then also have vessels or trawlers or different type of information. The benefit with the entities is you can put further metadata, so the attributes. So if we took a vessel, for example, I don't know much about vessels, but if we took a vessel, for example, it could be the weight, the number, the length, the crew. It could be all of this information that you then assign to it that creates further information that relates to that particular item. There is ways that you can mass tag images depending on the information, and there are ways that you can go in and do them on a bespoke level from there. But tags work very well with the photographs and those types of collections from there.
Right. So that has to be, so the system doesn't just search, say, with like in the brief, the general text, or does it? You have to actually put that into the tags as a separate thing.
No, it will search the general
It
text.
will, right.
It will, yeah. So if there's any textual content or audio content, the optical character recognition will work across it all and make them searchable. And also the audio transcript will work across any AV or audio content, and that will make those fully searchable as well in that particular case. The tags are to add additional information to those particular ones, or in the case of, let's say, photographs, where potentially that information is not directly located on the asset itself from there.
Right. Okay, that's fantastic. Thank you very much.
No problem at all. Thanks. We'll open up. We've got a couple more minutes if there are any further questions. If not, you've got our contact details, I think, Marshall, on the next page.
No, they're not on this one. I'll send those out afterwards. So we will be doing a short roundup, and we'll be sharing the recording either later today or tomorrow. So we'll also include links to the playground and to some of the examples that we've been showing today, so you can take a further look at those too.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, everybody. And we'd love to hear some feedback from you, and also other systems that you're potentially using at the moment, and how potentially digital access and discovery is your attentions are focusing that this year. As Marshall says, we'll send out some further details. I'm happy to take these conversations further if anybody would like to discuss a little bit more in depth to their particular criteria or what they're looking to achieve from there. And again, many thanks for everybody for joining, and I hope you have good morning, afternoon, evening, and yeah, speak with you all soon.